AWS CloudFormation is the equivalent of Deployment Manager for managing infrastructure as code. You can build reusable AWS CloudFormation templates using JSON or YAML syntax. With Deployment Manager, you can build top-level deployment configuration in YAML and build reusable templates in Jinja or Python. AWS CloudFormation and Cloud Deployment Manager both enable you to define outputs for a template. For example, you can expose the IP address of a database created in a template so that users can easily reference the IP address when creating their own templates. Both Deployment Manager and AWS CloudFormation enable you to manage infrastructure with conditions to create or omit certain resources. In Deployment Manager, you can set a property in the deployment configuration file. You can pass this property to a template that launches a different VM based on the value of that property. In AWS CloudFormation, you can achieve the same functionality by defining a template with conditions to create or omit certain resources. For example, consider an AWS CloudFormation template that creates resources for a web application environment. You can add different conditions to use different VM types for a test stack and a production stack. Let's see how the two technologies compare. An instance of a configuration created in Deployment Manager is called a deployment. An instance of configuration created in AWS CloudFormation is called a stack. Both Deployment Manager and AWS CloudFormation allow you to define the resources to create in the instance, and both enable you to define arbitrary name-value pairs and technology-specific metadata key-value pairs. In AWS CloudFormation templates, you can specify user data scripts to run when launching Amazon EC2 instances. In a Deployment Manager configuration, you can define a metadata key called a startup script to use with inline commands or a script file to run when the VM launches. In both AWS CloudFormation and Deployment Manager, you can specify that a resource depends on the creation of one or more other resources. In AWS CloudFormation templates, you can use predefined pseudoparameters such as AWS region, or define your own parameters to make your template more flexible. In Deployment Manager, template properties can be passed in as parameters to templates. Environment variables are the equivalent of pseudoparameters.